everybody. Welcome to this week's installment of our fall Halloween series. So I am so very excited to bring you this tutorial today. I have had an easel folio in my mind for years, probably since I started crafting, and I've never actually undertaken it. I did one time, but it didn't quite work out. The construction didn't really work out. But this one is perfection, and I'm just so thrilled to show you guys. Before we get started on this, please make sure to comment on all the fall Halloween series videos, because you will be entered to win one of 3 of all of the cutting guides for the whole series. The cutting guide for this will be linked below to the Etsy shop if you want to grab that. And then also my Facebook group, so Create with Martha Tucker, is up and running, and I showed a sneak peek of this on Monday and then the finished sneak peek on Tuesday, so everyone in there got to see it a little bit earlier. So it would be fantastic if you could join that group, and then you can share in all of the excitement. And also you can show your finished or in progress creations with my tutorials in that group as well. It's super, super fun. So that's going to be linked below. So cutting guide will be linked below. Facebook group will be linked below. And then also please comment to be entered to win one of 3 cutting guides for the whole series, okay? So we did use the Naturally Scary paper pad again, and we're getting down there. I think we might we should be able to get about 2 more projects out of it. I think we'll see how much I have to use just cardstock with it, but we'll see. So as you can see, it is an easel folio. You will have seen the pictures before the video started, but that's kind of the side view. So it does stand up on its own. It makes a beautiful display. Absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I actually can't wait to recreate it for Christmas. So it catches down here so that it can stand, and I'll show you how to do that in the tutorial. But then it comes off of that, and it actually lays really nice and flat so that you can, you know, use it as a regular folio. So it has a magnetic closure, and I'll show you how to do this whole process in the video. It opens up like this. It has these 2 side pockets on the inner flaps of the outside of the book. Super, super cute, and you can put pictures or journaling or whatever you want there. Here it has a very nice clear pocket, as you can see here. Very, very beautiful. We'll learn how to do that in the tutorial. And then I've got 2 photo mats here. So they've got my little white photo mats on the back, and then we use those gorgeous cut aparts from the collection on the front. And these just go right back in here. Then it opens to the top here, and we have a really cute little pocket, envelope style type pocket. It opens up like this, and we use these 2 cute little bats for the closure. So it opens up, and I have some photo mats in here as well. So these are all 4x6 photo mats. This little folio actually holds quite a few photos. So this closes up, and then it just closes again with the cute little envelope string closure. And then we move down here, and we have another really cute little angled pocket right here, and we're just accenting that gorgeous paper. I just can't get over this paper. This is my 3rd or 2nd, I think, project with the paper, and it's just still beautiful. I absolutely love it. So we have 2 more cut aparts in here on photo mats, and it's matted on the back as well. And then, like I said, that nice little angle pocket there. So these just go back in here, and then It opens to the back, and on the back of that, I just have a nice large photo mat that will fit a 5x7 photo. And then all the way in the back, it's getting kind of hard to see, but all the way in the back, we have a magnetic closure on a waterfall. So this is a 4¼ by 4¼ waterfall. Really, really beautiful. And I've done the continuous matting all the way down, so it all looks like one piece, and that is a magnet. And then the whole waterfall is on a belly band, so you can actually put some more photos or photo mats or anything behind the belly band. I just left mine because I thought we'll just stick loose photos back there. So that is this super cute easel folio. I absolutely love this. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you over there. All right, guys, let's get started with our super cute easel folio. So the first thing you're gonna need is a piece of 110-pound cardstock that is 5½ by 11. On the 11-inch side, you're going to score at 2 3/4 and 5½, okay? So 2 3/4 and 5½. And then we're just going to fold on those score lines. Make sure that you have it straight. Mine certainly wasn't. All right, just like this, and then you can fold this one down as well. So you should have your 5½ inch score line and then your 2 3/4 inch score line, okay? So they both get folded down like this, so it should look like this. All right, and then to that, we're going to attach a piece of our 110-pound cardstock that's 5½ by 7½. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put glue on this section here and then attach this in this direction like this. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac or Beacon 3-in-1, but you can use whatever glue or tape you're comfortable with. Just make sure you put it on the entire section there, that entire 2 3/4 inch section. And I'm just going to attach it right here, just like this. And then you can lay it down and make sure it's lined up. Burnish it. Just make sure it's lined up all the way to that piece. All right, so now it should look like this from the side. All right, so I'm gonna lay this down on top of this. So this is just on top of our piece that we attached. We're gonna have our 2 gatefold flaps, which will form the front of our book. So these 2 measure 4 by 7½. And on the 4-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 1/4, okay? And you're going to do that for both of these 2 pieces. And we can go ahead and fold and burnish these. Just like this. For both of them. All right, and then we can miter them, and all mitering means is that we cut from our 1/2 inch score line diagonally away, and this just helps to reduce bulk and hide construction. So for both of them, just miter. All right, now these are going to get attached on either side of our 5½ by 7½ inch piece here, just like this, and then this one will get attached on this side, okay? So I always like to burnish one more time from the top so it's nice and flat. Then I'll add my glue. This is the art glitter glue, just in a smaller bottle. All over that flap, and of course you can use tape or whatever other glue you're comfortable with. And it's just gonna go all the way to the edge, lined up with that piece here, and burnish it. All right, and then leave that for now to dry, and then we'll attach the other one to this side. So again, we can burnish from the top, add our glue, to the flap, the little 1/2-inch flap, and attach it the same way to this side. And whenever I can, I like to pick it up and make sure that it's lined up if you can. And burnish. All right, now just gently lift that away, and then we can take the first one we did and push back on our fold. So now we're gonna have a 3/4 inch folio on top here, okay? All right, now inside our 2 gatefold cover pieces, we're gonna have a large flap on the back here. So this piece measures 5 3/8 by 8.5, and on the 8.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1, okay? And we can go ahead and fold and burnish these. All right, now we're going to miter our first 1/2 inch section. Again, just to hide construction and reduce bulk. All right, and then fold that down. And now we're going to add our glue to this section here. And we're going to center it into the top here, and there'll just be a tiny bit of space on both sides. So you can see I have about a 1/16 of an inch on both sides there. And we can burnish that. And you can open it up and burnish it, just like this. And then you'll push back, just like we did before, on that second score. So now we should have something that looks like this. All right, so we have our 2 front gatefold openings and then the large flap that opens here. All right, so now the top of this flap that we just attached is going to have a acetate pocket. So our cardstock, 110-pound cardstock, measures 4 1/4 by 6 3/8. On the 6 3/8 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch, flip it in your scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. And on the 4 1/4 side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch, okay? And then what I've done, from my score line in at the top here, I marked at 1 inch, and I did the same thing on this side, just from the score line in, mark at 1 inch, okay? Then do the same thing at the bottom and connect those 2 tick marks. Then I marked up 1 inch and up 1 inch, and I connected those 2 tick marks with the ruler. Now we don't need these lines here that went past that 1 inch. We just need this section. Just like this. So we're gonna cut this out. All right, so now we have cut this out. So this is what your pocket should look like. Now for the pattern paper to mat this pocket, you will need a piece that's 5 1/8 by 3 3/4. And on the 5 1/8 side, you're gonna mark in 3/4 of an inch on both sides, top and bottom, and then connect those lines, and then the same thing at the bottom, mark in 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and connect those lines. And then we can erase this part here because we only need to cut out this center section. Just like this. All right, so I'm going to cut that out. All right, so now this is cut out, our pattern paper, and it is going to layer perfectly onto our pocket here. So before we do anything else, I want to put the acetate on the back, and the acetate also measures 5 1/8 by 3 3/4. And I've just gone ahead and put 1/8 score tape on 3 sides, so 2 of the short sides and 1 of the long sides. And I'm just going to remove 1 piece for now, and this is going on the back of the pocket. And I'm just going to place it just like this. And then I'll remove your other 2 pieces of backing. This way you don't accidentally put it down and you have to get up 3 pieces of score tape instead of the 1. All right, and then just let that fall. All right, so now we can go ahead and attach our pattern paper on the front here. There's eraser shavings everywhere. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac because it gives me wiggle room, and I want to make sure this is really nicely aligned. Just like this, and then move it around till you have an even black border all the way around. All right. Now we can go ahead and miter our corners. So for pockets, to miter, we just cut right through that score line that intersects in these corners. And then we can fold and burnish our score lines. Just like so. And then I always like to do my pockets from the top as well. Look how pretty our pocket is. All right, so now that's going to go on the bottom of our flap here, right like this. It's going to be the same size. I'm just cleaning the back of the acetate a little bit. Make sure it's nice and clean. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my glue just on this bottom flap first. And I'm using the art glitter glue for that. Just be really careful not to get any on your acetate. And just line it up all the way to the bottom and all the way to both sides of your flap. So you can pick it up, whatever you're comfortable doing. Just make sure it goes all the way to the bottom and all the way to both sides. All right, and then you can burnish it. And then we'll add our glue to these 2 sections here. Our 2 side flaps. And then just bring those up. Just like that. Just gonna flatten my page here so I can get it really nicely burnished. All right, so that is our cute little pocket attached. All right, so the back of this flap is going to have two flaps coming in from the top and bottom and one from the sides to hold some inserts. So I've already made one of them and we're going to make the other one together. So you need a piece of your 110-pound cardstock, well actually two pieces that are 5 3/8 by 3, and on the 3-inch side you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then I have a piece of my pattern paper here that measures 5 1/8 by 2 1/4. And all I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my scissor and I'm just gonna cut the angle just like this. And this is on the 5 1/8 inch side. So I just cut across. If you have one of those punches that do this, totally use that. And now I'm going to get something that I can poke into, and I'm going to place that right here. So this is just some felt. And then I've cut 2 bat dies, so you're actually going to need to cut 2 silver ones and 2 chipboard ones, or you can use a circle for this. This is just to create the little mechanism that our string closure is going to go under. So I've cut 1 chipboard, just lightweight chipboard, and 1 silver. And these bat dies are from La La Land Crafts, and I will link them below. And I'm going to just glue these together because I just wanted to have a little bit more strength. So again, you're going to need to cut whatever you're using for your closure mechanism. You're going to need to cut 4 of so that it's nice and strong. Especially if you want to use silver, because it's not, or really any metallic cardstock isn't going to be too terribly thick. All right. Now the bat on the top is over here, and this is actually going to be like this because this is the bottom flap. So I want the bat to be on this side so that our string's gonna run this way. All right, so now I've got my poking tool here, and I'm gonna lay my bat where I want it, kind of probably right there. And I'm gonna poke through both layers of my bat and through my pattern paper. And then I've just got a little black brad here. And I'm gonna put that through to the back and open it up and make sure it's really nice and flat. And then I'm gonna take the flap, so the 5 3/8 by 3 that we scored at 1/2 on the 3-inch side, and we can fold and burnish that score line just like this. All right, and then we're going to attach this on here. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac for that. Just like this. So just make sure you have an even black border all the way around. Then you'll take your scissors and just cut that same angle that your pattern paper has. Just like this. All right, so now these should look like this, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and attach them to the flap. So the bat that's going this way is gonna go on the top, and then this bat's gonna go on the bottom, or you could even, if you want them to be upside down, they could go like this too. That's totally a personal preference, or again, whatever you're going to use for your closure mechanism. And I'm going to get my glue on here. Just like this. And it should be the same width as your flap. And then just make sure it goes all the way across the top. Give it a good press down, and then you can open it and burnish it just like this. All right, and then you're going to do the same thing with your other one. Just make sure you don't go too close to your fold down here. You can use anything in your stash. Oh, I didn't miter this. Just miter it after the fact, I guess. But you can use anything in your stash for your little closure pieces, like what I used bats for. Whatever you have. So I'm not going all the way to the score line here. I'm just leaving just a hair of space between, just so my flap still closes nicely, and then I can open that up and burnish it. All right, now for the sides here, so that our little inserts won't fall out, we need something to keep them in. So I have 2 pieces of my 110-pound cardstock that are 4.5 by 1.5, and on the 1.5 inch side I just scored it 1/2 inch, and I have 2. So we can go ahead and fold and burnish these, and we don't need to miter these because the pattern paper will cover them because they're not the full length. So I'm just going to put one on this side all the way to the edge, just like this. So it's going to go right here. Try to just center it between the two, between these 2 flaps. Just like this, and then you can open it up and burnish it. And then the other one is going to go on the other side. Just kind of eyeball it so that it goes in the same kind of sort of position. It doesn't need to be perfect. I think that's pretty good. You could always measure though. So measure up from the bottom or down from the top where you want it to go. And these are just going to keep whatever we put in here in. All right, now I've got some simple white embroidery thread here, and I'm going to put it under my top bat, bring it up to the top, and tie it once, and then bring it down and tie it again. So that just makes a knot around the brad itself underneath, and it secures it nicely. Now we're going to take the rest of our thread and bring it down and under our other bats, and then back up around one more time. And you can go as many times as you want. That kind of looks cool because it kind of looks like spider webby. And then I'm going to cut off the excess. I'm going to leave a little bit hanging, but this up here I'm going to cut off so that it's underneath the bat, like this. All right, and then there is our cute little closure for our kind of pocket. All right, now down here, so opposite this flap down here, we're gonna have a flap coming in from the bottom, and it measures 8 by 5 3/8, and on the 8-inch side you're gonna score it 1/2 inch and at 1/4 inch, and then it's gonna go in here like this, and we're gonna put a pocket on top. So the pocket is gonna be lined up right along our gusset here, okay? So the pockets measure 6 3/8 by 4 1/4. On the 6 3/8 side, you're gonna score it 1/2 inch, flip it in the scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. And on the 4 1/4 side, you're just gonna score at 1/2 inch across the bottom. Now we can go ahead and fold and burnish. And again, both pieces, the flap and the pocket, are 110-pound cardstock. And then we can miter our corners. So just cut right through that intersection, just like this. All right, and then we are going to do some cutting on this pocket. So what I've done is from the score line, I've marked in 1.5 inches on the left-hand side. And then from the score line on the bottom, on the right-hand side, I've marked in 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to cut diagonally across there. So I'm just going to use my paper trimmer, but you could use a craft knife and a scissor. And I'm going to make sure to leave this flap open. Or it's not a craft knife and a scissor. A craft knife and a ruler. And I'm just going to line up my marks in my trimmer. And cut across there. Just like this. And then you can erase any markings that won't be covered by the pattern paper. Just like this. So that is what your pocket should look like. So now I'm going to attach it along the gusset here, but not directly on top of the gusset, because then it won't bend backwards. So I'm going to start with my bottom flap first, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue. Just like this. And you can actually close down that gusset so you can see better. And just right along it. Just like this. And then you can burnish once you have it where you want it. And you can open it up and burnish it. All right, and then we can burnish these down one more time and add our glue to these. Like this. And close up the pocket. And burnish it. All right, now for the matting for this, you're gonna need a piece of your pattern paper that's 5 1/8 by 3 3/4. And all we're gonna do is place it on top of our pocket, just like this. And we're gonna get a pencil, and we're gonna make a mark about 1/8 inch in from this edge of the pocket, and about 1/8 inch in from this edge of the pocket. And then we're just going to line those two tick marks up in the paper trimmer and cut across. And then that will mat right onto the front of the pockets. And I'm going to use my beacon glue to attach it. I always use my beacon for matting unless it's really small pieces, because I have time to move it around. Just like this. Super, super cute. All right, so now we can go ahead and bring our gusset back up like this. And we can miter our attaching flap. So just miter the 1/2 inch, not the 1/4 inch. Just like this. And then I'll bring the folio back in, and this is gonna get attached across the bottom here, okay? So you can bend your gusset back down if you need to. And we're going to attach it right along the bottom of our folio. And it's again the same as the top flap. It's about 1/8 inch smaller than the book. So just center it between your two edges of your book. All right, then you can press back that gusset, and it is supposed to be a 1/4 inch smaller than our book so that it doesn't get in the way of this flap at the top. Right, now underneath the flap we just did with the pocket, all the way at the back of the folio, we're gonna have a belly band with a waterfall on top of it. So for the belly band, you need a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and on the 8 1/2 inch side, you're just gonna score at 1/2 inch on both sides. And we can go ahead and fold and burnish these down. And we can burnish from the top as well. And again, this is the 110-pound cardstock. Then you're going to need 6 pieces of your 110-pound cardstock that measure 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. These are our waterfall pieces. So for all 6, you are going to score at 1/2 inch on the 4 3/4 side. So we can go ahead and fold and burnish all 6 of our waterfall pieces. Right, now that they're all folded and burnished, they're all going to get attached on top of our belly band. So with the attaching flap of our belly band folded down on the top, you're going to attach your first one right along that score line at the top here. I'm going to use the art glitter glue to attach my flaps. So just attach it right along the top of the belly band. Then you can burnish. And then you can burnish on the inside as well. Then you will do the next one right along this previous one. And I always like to close it down to make sure they still stay aligned before I glue. So just go ahead and attach all 6 pieces the same way. All right, now you can go ahead and put them all down and burnish from the top here. Make sure they're all really nice and flat. And then we're gonna attach this whole thing into our folio before we put our closure on, okay? So it's just gonna get centered right into the back of the folio, just like this. So just center it in. Gonna get my glue on there and just put it right along the score line, but not on top of it, of your top gusset here, and burnish that. I always like to make sure my flap still closes while I might still have time to take the tape off. And then the same thing down here. So add your glue to this section. Bring it down. And just burnish it down. Now for the closure, I have a piece of my cardstock that is 2 by 6, so 110-pound cardstock. And on the 6-inch side, I just scored it at 1/2 inch. And we'll fold and burnish this, and it's gonna get attached right at the bottom of my belly band here, just centered in. I'm gonna add my glue. And I'm just gonna do my best to center it in there and burnish it. All right, now for the closure, I'm going to add one of my magnets right on top of my flap here. So I'm just going to grab some tape for that. And I like adding them to the top instead of the back, because that way if you don't want to mat the back, you don't have to, okay? That way you have no magnet to cover on the back of it. So then open it up like this, and I'm going to put a piece of tape where my magnet is on the other side. I'm going to let this catch like this, and I'm going to make sure everything's really nice and flat as I'm closing it down. And then remember, I like to kind of drag it off the side instead of straight up, because sometimes if you lift it straight up, the tape will lift with it. All right, and that is the closure for that. So then this will go up, this will go down, and that's our cute little folio coming together. All right, now for the pockets that are gonna go on the inside of our 2 flaps that are the outside of our book, you're going to need 2 pieces of black cardstock that measure 3 1/4 by 4, and this is again just 110-pound. On the right hand side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and then 1/2 inch across the bottom. And on the other one, on the left hand side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 3 1/4 side, and then 1/2 inch across the bottom on the 4 inch height. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut from this score line to this score line. Diagonally, we're going to cut that in the paper trimmer like this. And then the other one, we're going to cut this way. So it should look like this. So they're going to be 2 opposing, because one's going to go on this side of our book and one's going to go on this side. All right, now for the pattern paper, what you're going to need is 2 pieces that measure 3 1/4 by 2 1/2. And for the one that's going to go on the left-hand side, you're going to want to cut it so that the paper is in your paper trimmer in this orientation. Like this, and then this will mat right onto here. And then for the other one, you're going to want to cut it so that the paper is in this orientation in your trimmer. Just like this. So then this one will mat on the other one. And then these 2 offcuts you can use somewhere else, but you can't use them for these pockets. All right, so now we can go ahead and fold and burnish our pockets. So just fold and burnish on your score lines. Just like this. All right, so then you can see when you fold this, you have this little piece that comes up here, so we need to cut that off. And same thing for the top. We need to cut this one off. And then we need to do our usual miters. So where the two score lines intersect for the pocket, we need to cut that across. So now your pocket should look like this. Same thing for the other one. Just like this. All right, and then we can go ahead and glue our layers on. So I'm gonna use my art glitter glue because these are smaller pieces. Let's get right into your edges. This one will get glued on this side. Just like this. And then the other one will get glued on this pocket. Just like this. All right. So now we can bring back in our book and glue these onto the insides of our flaps here. So I'm going to burnish again from the top. I'm going to start with my bottom flap. And line it up. Try to stay just a tiny bit away from your fold if possible. Just like this. Burnish that. Then we can open at our glue. And burnish this side. If you get any glue coming out, just try to wipe it away. And then make sure your pocket didn't get glued down anywhere as it wasn't supposed to. And then the other one will go over here. So again, I'm going to burnish from the top. And I'm going to add my glue to the bottom flap first. And add it right here. Just like this. And then I'll add glue here. To close that up. Just like that. So now we have our two opposing pockets on both sides. All right, now I want to go ahead and attach the piece on our base. That is actually going to turn this into an easel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, and then that's going to reveal this section here that's 5.5 by 5.5, okay? I'm going to have to mat it first before I can attach my little closure thing. So I have a piece of gold cardstock that's 5.25 by 5.25, and then I have a piece of the patterned paper that's 5 by 5, and I'm going to go ahead and mat these two together just like this. Got flying pieces of glue going on this morning. So just with that nice even gold border all the way around, then we can go ahead and attach it to here. So remember, it goes on this section here that's 5.5 by 5.5. And then just make sure you have that even black border. Then for these pieces, you need one of your 110-pound cardstock, the black, that's 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. Then you need a piece of gold, that's 1 by 4 1/2. Then you need a piece of the pattern paper, that's 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I just used one of the strips from the pattern paper that we're using. Just gonna use the art glitter glue for this piece. So the pattern paper is going on the gold cardstock. And then the gold cardstock will go onto the black. Leaving that nice even black border. Just like this. All right, now on the back of this, I'm gonna put some foam tape. This is the foam tape I have, and this is kind of an important part of this. I really have no idea how thick it is. I think it's about 1/16 of an inch thick. And I'm gonna use 2 layers of this because you need it to be high enough to keep the book, to keep the folio elevated. And I'm going to use 2 layers, like I said. So if yours seems thinner to you, you can use 3 layers. It's totally an option. And now I'm going to place this kind of centered into the bottom here, about 1/2 inch from the bottom, just like this. And then the folio will lift up and it'll catch on that. And that is how it will stand, just like this. Super, super cute. I hope you guys can see. Kind of put it to the side so you can see how it catches. I mean, you're going to see it better in the pictures, but that's how it becomes the easel folio. All right, so now for the cover for these 2 flaps here, you're going to need 2 pieces of gold cardstock that are 2.5 by 7 1/4, and then 2 pieces of your pattern paper that are 2 1/4 by 7. So I've already done this side here. So I'm going to show you how to do the other side. I'm going to show you one side and you're going to do the other side. So I have this little distressing tool here, and it's just meant to rough up the edges. So 2 things. First of all, you can use a scissor to do this. So if you just have a scissor, just open your scissor like this and rough up those edges. And then the other thing is the other step, you don't have to do this step if you don't like that, you know, worn, grungy look. Don't do that, but I just think it kind of adds to the Halloween appeal of it. So I'm going around and I'm really, really roughing it up. My gold and my pattern paper, I'm going to rough them up the same way. They're both roughed up now, so now we can go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together. I'm just going to use my beacon glue. Just like this. All right, now I'm gonna let this dry for a second. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll back the corners. So we're gonna roll back this corner and this corner once that's dry. And then we're gonna put some little spider web pieces on the back of it. so that it looks like this on the cover, okay? So I've cut this spiderweb die from gold cardstock, and it's from La La Land Crafts, this die. And then I just cut some little pieces off. So first, let's roll these corners. So I'm doing both of my left-hand sides, and then for the other one, you're going to do both of the right-hand sides. So just roll that. Just roll it in kind of like a dog-eared book page. All right, like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some glue on my little spiderweb piece that I cut off. And I'm just using the art glitter glue, if it'll come out for me. Whew, that's a lot. It's okay. And I'm just gonna kind of put it down and place it right where I want it, just like this. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for the bottom one. Just add some glue, put it down and place it in the bottom corner. Now it doesn't really matter how much sticks out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want a little bit to stick out. Now we're gonna go ahead and glue these both on to our covers, just like this. All right, so that looks super cute. All right, now so for our closure, you're gonna need a piece of gold cardstock that's 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then a piece of your pattern paper that's 2 by 3. And I just got this from one of the border strips that is in the Naturally Scary paper pack. And it's just kind of this little section here. I just cut that out. And it measures 2 by 3. So what I'm gonna do is I've already roughed this piece up the same way that I did our folio, the covers for the folio. And then I rolled it the same way on the edges, and I'm gonna rough up my piece of gold cardstock like this. So just the exact same way, just rough it up. And then I'm gonna glue these two together. Probably just use the art glitter glue. So glue them together like this. And then I can also maybe curl up the gold around that. And again, this stuff is totally optional. I don't even usually go through the decoration process with you guys, but for this one, I'm using some things that might not be really evident. All right, so something like that kind of. And then that's gonna go on here, but I don't want it to go flat like this. I don't want it to be closed flat like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my bone folder and I'm going to curl this in the middle like this. And then these edges, I'm just kind of gonna bring up a little bit. So you want it kind of like this, if that makes sense. So that you have that kind of bump in the middle and then a little bit of a valley on the sides. And then what we're gonna do is glue just put some glue right about here. And I think what I'm actually going to use is tape, just because I have a really specific picture in mind of what I want this to look like. So remember to put the tape on this side. And I'm only going to put tape right about here. And then I'm going to take the backing off. And I'm going to place it, making sure that this kind of stays bent up on this side. And I'm going to place it kind of in the center, like this. And this is totally eyeballing it. All right, then we can open this up. And where it's kind of flat here, I'm going to place a magnet on here. Just like this. And all I'm doing is putting a little bit of tape on the back of this. And then I'll show you what we're going to do with it. So just make sure that the tape is only on the back, and I'm going to put it kind of right there, kind of on that curved part. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other magnet, place it on here, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. And this is what's called kind of like a glue stamp. And I'm going to put this kind of right where I want it and press down right here. So now you can see where our magnet needs to be on that side. And then I'm going to get a little bit of tape and put it on the magnet. Just make sure you get it on the right side of the magnet. And I'm going to put some glue here. And then I'm going to put it right where our glue stamp was. And then it should close exactly how I wanted it to. So just like this. So it's gaping open. It's kind of curved open. And that's what I want. And again, this is going to be a lot easier to see in the pictures. But I just really, really love the way that looks. All right, guys, so now I have just added some black bat die cuts, and these dies are also from La La Land Crafts, and I will link them below. And I just have them kind of flying out from under this closure here. So that's going to be the end of the tutorial for today. I'm going to go ahead and finish matting everything inside. But as usual, I just go down 1/4 inch, and then I'll put my inserts in, and that'll be it for this week's tutorial for our fall Halloween series. So remember to comment down below to be entered to win one of 3 cutting guides from all of the fall Halloween series videos. And also remember to join my Facebook group of Create with Martha Tucker, so you can share all your makes with the tutorials and just see upcoming projects. And I do sneak peeks, and we're going to be doing a live craft along coming up really soon in there as well. So I'll have that link below so you can join in that. And thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.